to fully invest in your business, you have to get a more return on your investment as well. So charge what you're, not just these little package items and all those things, charge what you are, the outcome that you're giving to your clients, and do it sooner rather than later. Because a lot of dietitians suffer with like imposter syndrome. And so we feel like, like, oh, I'll just charge them like $100. Like, no, like, no, do more. Do more than that. We deserve more, especially because we're changing people's lives. So.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to RD's Thriving in Private Practice. I'm Catherine Dittman, and joining me today is Dalia Ayesh. Dalia has a solo practice in Memphis, Tennessee, where she provides virtual root cause nutrition coaching, specializing in women's metabolic and hormone health as a functional medicine practitioner and licensed registered dietitian. Welcome, Dalia.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Super excited about this.
Great. I'm happy that you're able to join me.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's just get started by hearing a little bit about your journey as a dietitian, how you chose this specialty, found your niche.
Yeah, my journey into becoming a dietitian is pretty interesting. I grew up, I've always had an interest in health and nutrition growing up, mostly because of watching like my dad struggle with various health conditions like chronic and diet and lifestyle related diseases like diabetes, CKD, heart disease, those type of diseases. And I was like always responsible for administering like, or giving him his insulin shots and checking his blood sugar, and like doing all those stuff. So I was always interested and fascinated by blood sugar and diabetes and that's in metabolic health specifically. And then I've kind of struggled with my own health issues as I started getting into the health world. I had some kind of like disordered eating struggles of my own. And those experiences definitely motivated me to like seek out nutrition knowledge and like accurate nutrition information. So I went and I had like one conversation with my sister one day, and she was like, you need to go into like nutrition or something. And I was like, do we even have anything like that in Memphis? And she was like, yes. And so I went and I spoke to my advisor. We got that all scheduled and everything. And so I got my dietetics degree, loved everything about it. And then I went on to get my master's in environmental nutrition. And there was this one course that I took, and it was all about complementary and alternative therapies. And that's what really sparked my interest in like integrative health and functional medicine and in that whole world. But it wasn't until my second graduate program where I really started to dive into the world of functional medicine. One day I landed on the Institute of Functional Medicine's website, and just from there, it just kept spiraling, and it was great. I didn't complete any courses or certifications until after I graduated, but it's amazing. I love functional medicines. I love the approach. I love the method. It's amazing. But how I picked my specialty, I knew I've always wanted to work with women. I'm just very comfortable around women. I'm one of 5 girls in my family. And then I have like 10 aunts. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm always around women all the time. Yeah. And so I also feel like there's a lot of responsibility on women and taking care of their families, taking care of their husbands or parents, like all that stuff. I do believe that women are real life superheroes, and, they neglect themselves a lot, and they take care of everybody else in their lives. So I knew like I wanted to help those people, the women who have those debilitating symptoms, but they are not treating them, not even caring too much about them, or doctors aren't even really considering their issues much at all, because the reason I really wanted to work with them is because I know how powerful it is. Like when you support a woman, and let's say she has kids, let's say she has a husband, all of that stuff, they're able to really show up in their lives with their husband and their relationship and their kids, like doing all that stuff. So I feel like there's some kind of like effect, like I don't want to say like a butterfly effect or something, where like you help a woman and like she just pours into every other area of her life and just continues to help so many other people in her life. So that's what I really wanted to do, is empower more women, deepening their understanding of their bodies and like really helping them nourish their bodies, eating the foods that they love, being able to really transform their health, take and live life to the fullest, because I mean, life is meant to be enjoyed. I don't think we do enough of that, you know?
Right.
But yeah, that's how I got into all that. I'm sorry.
That's a beautiful explanation. It's sort of like you're helping to support women, people who have other people in their lives to support, so they can go out there and do more things and be more effective in the world in their own lives. So I love that. I do. Yeah. And so with the functional medicine, functional nutrition, do you work closely with other providers? Is that sort of your referral avenue, or do they find you on their own?
So a lot of how I find my clients is through insurance, online, like social media marketing, or like even like healthprofs.com, like those avenues. Or word of mouth. Word of mouth is a really big one for me. But I don't really have too many referrals coming from doctors themselves, but more so from insurance companies and social media and stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah. So in order for you to get a referral from insurance, that assumes that people looking for you are looking for a dietitian. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing, right? There are people looking for a dietitian. Yeah. Without just being referred by their medical office. So yeah, it's good news.
I know it is. I know, I love it. And it's great. I think insurance is definitely something most people should consider integrating into their practice. And I'm all about integrative everything, health, and even like packages and stuff like that, because I've always wanted to make nutrition and health become more accessible and affordable for more people. And I think insurance is a really good way to do that.
Okay. So can we talk about some of the nitty-gritty details about insurance a little bit? And of course, on the C, you have a different situation. And of course, different providers are going to have different rules. But what are some of the diagnoses that you find that you consistently get reimbursed for?
For the most part, the preventative dietary counseling is the one that I get reimbursed for the most. I see in my area specifically, I see a lot of Blue Cross Blue Shield clients. So Blue Cross Blue Shield is great at just covering the preventative health dietary counseling diagnosis. So it's usually the one that I use the most.
And do you use the MNT CPT codes?
Yes, so I do the N70, N7802, N7803, primarily those two.
Okay. Yeah. And is it just straightforward Z code, or do you also have to include a secondary diagnosis or a like a BMI code?
It's so straightforward. It's just the Z. It's just the Z71.3. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I love the most is like, I use Practice Better, and I know there's a lot of different client management systems, but Practice Better does make it really easy to just, you can even set up like your CPT codes for each initial follow-up, all that stuff. So that way you don't have to keep inputting it each and every time. And now what they do is they even calculate how long you are speaking with a patient, like everything's through Zoom, and it'll even tell you how long you spent versus you trying to like put time in, time out on your own. It'll even tell you. So like, it's super easy to use, and it can be really scary for a lot of new dietitians in private practice if they want to use insurance. I always say like everything new is scary, but honestly, it's not that hard. Like it's not that difficult. Yeah.
Right. How much time do you think you spend outside of FaceTime and charting time dealing with insurance?
Oh my God. I want to say total, like 5 to 10 minutes. It's honestly not that, it's not that big of a hassle at all. So Availity makes it really easy just to check and see eligibility and benefits. So I check that really quickly, really easy to do. And then when I upload and like do the CMS form for the insurance, super easy just because a lot of that information is filled in on its own. And I just have to fill in a couple of other things and send it in. That's it. Like, it's super easy.
Now, is that 5 to 10 minutes per client or per day, per week? What was that referring to?
For new clients, mainly. For clients that I know their insurance covers, it really doesn't take more than like 2-3 minutes just to put in their information, get their CMS form ready. And I dedicate one day out of a week to just batch upload all of the CMS forms to Office Ally. And it's a breeze. Like once you get a process down, it can be pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the companies that you're currently contracted with, do you ever have a hard time have you had problems getting reimbursed or getting paid?
For the companies that I am contracted with, no.
No. Okay. Good.
Yeah. If anything, they're really good at answering any questions you have over the phone. And I don't ever mind if I ever have a problem getting on the phone with them. I don't ever mind sitting on there and just getting answers. For anyone who's like new to insurance, what I recommend is learning it on your own and maybe having like a mentor at first. But what I always say is you should always know how to do it versus relying on someone else to do it all for you. So make sure you know how to do everything. Get on the phone, talk to the people who know the insurance and know what they're talking about. So that way you write all this notes down. It's just so easy to keep, replicating all of this.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Okay, one more insurance question before we move on. Do you feel that your fee schedule, your rate is fair in Tennessee by the insurance companies that you are contracted?
Oh man, I think, okay, so I definitely think it could be higher, especially for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Just gonna say. I know what I've heard. I'm not contracted with Cigna right now. I've heard Cigna is not very, the fee schedule isn't very great. Aetna is really good. They should all learn a thing or two from Aetna. Like they need to. But I would say there's some companies that could give us more.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very diplomatic. So describing that. Yeah. Okay. So do you only offer the group program? And maybe describe very, very briefly what your group program looks like. Do you also do one-off, just fee for service sessions?
So right now I do one-on-one. Like I don't do group programs right now yet, but I have a program where it's the Reclaim Your Health package. Is that usually what I like to call it? It's a program, but it's more, I call it a program, but it's really a package. So I don't do one-off sessions or anything like that in my business. It's usually a 4-month package with individual sessions. Yeah, that's what that is for now.
Got it. So do they pay that up front and then you bill the insurance for that? How does that work?
So our sessions are covered by insurance, obviously, if they're covered, and everything else is a separate payment that they would have to pay, self-pay. And so it's up to them if they would like to do pay in full, they can save like 10%. Or if they want to do payment plan, that's available to them, just with like an additional cost. But usually they would choose between the two for that. but their sessions, if they have insurance, their sessions would be covered, and I don't charge them for that. I don't charge them for that and bill insurance. It's like I bill insurance and I'll get paid through that. But for some people who I don't accept their insurance, I will send them a super bill so that they could get possible reimbursement.
Okay. Do you find that people get reimbursed through their super bill?
I haven't had someone with a different insurance yet to do that, but it's something that I offer. So I haven't really seen it yet, but it's something that I want to definitely, I want to try and see if that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a crazy, interesting world, this insurance minefield, right?
I know.
Yeah. So what kinds of things in your package are they paying out of pocket?
They're paying out of pocket a lot for the accountability support. So they have like really, I don't want to say 24/7 access to me, but they can send questions whenever they want. But I reach out to them in between our sessions. I have a course-ish with all the modules and everything that we have to go through that we don't have time to really discuss in our sessions. So like we have this whole course that they have access to, lifetime access to. We also have my protocol templates and all these things that I create. I do everything from individualized for each and every person, and that takes a lot of time. So like charting is a long process for me, but also like creating protocols with individualized diet and lifestyle and supplementation. I also have a testing. I also offer testing, so comprehensive functional testing or blood tests. And so I'll even analyze and interpret those for them and create a plan for that. But yeah, it's a lot that goes into it. So I couldn't just do insurance and just like leave it at that. There's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. So that's why it's like this whole big package.
So I think I'm having a little bit of a light bulb moment here. In order for it to make sense for you to take insurance for the maybe not great reimbursement rate that you get or the payment rate that you get, you're making up for that by offering these value-added services to that existing thing that they are paying for out of pocket.
Yeah, like I know I couldn't serve them the way that I want to if it was just insurance based.
Got it.
Right? Because there's a lot of work, a lot of time away from a client that I do in my practice that I couldn't just, charge insurance for, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is really interesting. Okay. Good. So you said that you use Practice Better
Yeah.
for your electronic health medical records. I'm assuming that you also use that for your coursework material that
I actually use Kajabi. So
you use Kajabi.
I host my website on Kajabi, and it's like a one-stop shop. So it has everything else on there. You can do email marketing and stuff like that. So I use Kajabi for that, for the course and those things. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now my question is, why do you use Kajabi over the other platforms, and why is it better than using Practice Better?
Okay. So number one is the first ever business group program that I did. She was raving about Kajabi, and I've seen a lot of people online rave about Kajabi. And at the time I started using it because she also had like a discount code. So I used that so I can get a discount code. And I just kind of just kept it. But I would take courses from people who would host it on Teachable. And I heard about Teachable. What I heard is that they take there's a fee every time someone signs up or something. I didn't really love that idea. Kajabi is a monthly payment or a yearly payment, just one and done. I also like that there is many things that you could do on Kajabi. So it is like a one-stop shop, right? I can host my website. I could have a course. I could do a podcast on there if I wanted to. And then have email marketing and I think some other things. But those are the bigger things that I saw that I was like, I'll eventually do all these things. I want to be able to have one area that I could host it. But Kajabi is nice too, because like the way that the courses are set up, and you can really customize it and make it your own. I really like it, and I just stuck with it. Once I started to get into it, I'm like, okay, this works for me. I'll just keep it. But yeah, that's why I got into Kajabi.
Nice. Your website's very, very nice.
Thank you.
I'm pretty impressed that Kajabi can support something like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was I thinking? So you took what kind of business coaching sort of course did you land on? What was that all about? And you can tell us who it was if you feel like it. You don't have to, but maybe give us some understanding of what that was about.
Absolutely. So the first ever course, and I've actually taken several different business coaching programs, but the first ever course I stumbled on was the perfect one for me at that stage in my career. And it was called, well, the dietitian that actually runs it her name is Laura Schoenfeld. I think that's how she says her last name. Mm-hmm. Her program was called the Nutrition Business Accelerator. And what I loved about this one was that she was a dietitian. She had her own private practice. And now she's in the business of teaching other dietitians to do that. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. And she was also in the functional nutrition space, so she could speak to that a lot too. And what I loved about her program was that she really gave you a lot of the resources to start, like to get your business up and running, like as a dietitian in private practice. She gave you so many tools, so many like starting prices with like Practice Better and Kajabi, like all these different things. She had like a lawyer speak to us. She had accountants and like Facebook person who's into like Facebook ads and like doing like all these things. What I really liked about her at the time, at the program, at the time, was one thing that she was really focusing on was not needing to spend hours on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I hated it because I wasn't super into like social media and Instagram and all of that at the time, which is weird because you would think I would be. But like I didn't want to spend hours and hours on end on social media. I just thought it was so annoying. And that's something that she would always say, like, you don't have to spend that much time. So I love that. And so I got her program. I still use a lot of her stuff till this day. And this is something that I would tell people to like, it's a definite yes. If you're starting a practice, get a business mentor, business coach, someone who's, especially as a dietitian, like someone who understands the dietitian world in the nutrition space a lot more. But yeah, I've landed on hers. I've taken another one after that really, each program I've ever taken has really helped me in the moment that I was at in my career. The second one really helped me get out of my shell and like go into social media and like put my face on social media. So if you see me on Instagram, you see my face a lot now because like I'm more comfortable around that because they really helped me get out there. And then the one that I'm currently doing is more individualized. Just, you know, as my business changes, I want someone to be there with me like every step of the way. And this is actually something I realized is I love one-on-one work with my clients because everything is so individualized. Everybody's just so different that the group programs, the self-paced courses never really did a whole bunch for me just because I needed that one-on-one support because my business was so different. You know, I have insurance and I'm a functional nutrition practitioner and like all these things. So it's just having a business mentor or coach, whether that's a group program, course, or individualized support is necessary.
Yeah. And so I hear you on needing someone that's actually done it themselves. Mm-hmm. It isn't someone from some whole different business sphere just trying to replicate some strategy for our niche, which is really unique. And then especially that can take your particular needs and tailor it even more towards what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with this insurance thing. And it seems like the landscape is always changing with that.
Yeah. Like something that I struggled with a lot was how to integrate insurance with my package and all of these things. And so it was great having someone there to be like, this is what you could do. This is how you can integrate, so it was definitely necessary. I loved it.
Yeah.
Every program I've ever done, even though a lot of it is just really expensive, I've always thought of it like an investment into my business, into myself. And so like, I don't regret ever spending money on these programs, ever.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about marketing and how much time do you spend on, do you have a blog? Sounds like you do a lot of social media, maybe some video. How much time do you spend per week?
So I've taken some time off of marketing for just a little bit, but I will be going back on it soon. Right now I'm focusing all my energy on social media marketing. And so what I imagine is I will spend about 5, and what I have done before is about like 5 to 7 hours a week. So I like to do batch work. I want to batch all of my content, spend a little bit time looking at trending audios, like all these little things here and there. And also doing like organic marketing, reaching out to people who follow me and figuring out, okay, what are you doing here? Like, hey, how can I help you? Like all that stuff. And then also reaching out to people that, actually it's actually really interesting. I'll have a lot of clients that I meet on Reddit, and like we meet on Reddit and I'm like, hey, I can help you. They're like, great. And they sign up to work with me. So like, there's so many different ways that you can find clients. And I just like to show up in all these different areas, because the more people that you talk to, the more people that you see and see you, the more likely you'll have people come to you. Hey, I want to work with you, all of that stuff. So my thing is like, be everywhere. Be everywhere.
Nice. Plus wide net, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So that's marketing. What about keeping all of your financials sorted? We're coming up on tax season.
Yay.
What's your strategy been? Do you have someone that is your bookkeeper? Do you do your own books? Do you have a tax prep person?
I've actually been a bookkeeper for the past 5 years. I've been doing that as like my 9 to 5 while I was growing my business and everything. And so I know pretty much how to do my own bookkeeping. So I kind of do that side of things. But because I used to work at an accounting firm, I just, ask my old boss, hey, file my taxes for me. And he's great. He does it for me. And what I like to do myself is to, like, I know at the end of the year how much I'll typically be spending. So I kind of reserve that amount. And like, this is what I recommend to a lot of people, is not having too many accounts, like business accounts, but having at least one account where you can move your taxes, where you know how much will come out. You'll move it. And that way you're not thinking about like, oh, I have all this money in this bank account. Like I'm able to really, so this money I cannot touch. And so like, that's how I divvy it up, at least just so I can make sure I have money for the taxes that needs to be paid for. So that's what I would do. I'm also really, I don't have too much overhead costs since I am a virtual dietitian. So it's something that, I don't have like rent and too many supplies that I use, like all of these things. So that's also a benefit of being like all virtual. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you pay for Practice Better, you pay for Kajabi.
I pay for Zoom. I pay for Office Ally. I believe it's like $35 a month. I feel like I had a list of all the things I pay for. Let's see. Oh, Google Business Email. I pay for Health Profs, which is like $30 a month. Liability insurance, like every year or two. see. That's pretty much it for the most part. Everything else, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But startup costs, like in the beginning when I first started my business, it wasn't that much, unless you count the business coaching. Then yeah, it was a lot. But if it's just like those little things here and there, I got like legal documents from a online like lawyer, and she like would talk to you for a little bit, and then she will come up with the coaching and like counsel and nutrition document for your business. Liability insurance is about $142 where I'm at. Google business email is like $13 a month. Health Prof's like $30. And I started on like the free trial on Practice Better. So that's just like $25 now. But I feel like before it wasn't $25. I don't know why I felt like before it's probably had like a free trial or something. And then just like $100 to just form the corporation, you know? So startup costs were not that much. And even now it's still not too much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's different from out here in California, I will say. Yeah. It's like $800 for the LLC annually. Yes.
That's actually why I didn't go LLC for my business, because in Tennessee it's $300 every year. So I was like, okay, I'll just pay the $20 for the corporation, and I'm classified as an S corp in my business. Yeah.
Okay, and so that saves you money on the
every year. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, and then you have a different tax situation. We don't have time to go into that, but
I know.
but that's a whole different topic. Yeah. So it sounds like the way that you did things really worked out very, very well.
Yeah.
If there was anything that you would go back and do differently, or any sort of like, ooh, that was sort of I could have made a different choice here, and that might have benefited me somehow, what would you say?
I would have started before I was like ready. Like if I were to go back, I would push myself more out of everything, because I definitely was trying to take it easy and like slow. Like, hey, because I still have my 9-to-5 job, I was like, I could take it slow. It's not, I have already like income coming in, so I don't really need to focus too much on my business. But I would have pushed myself earlier, and really try to do more of the social media marketing and getting ahead of the game versus like catching up, a little bit later. But that is definitely something I would have seeked out an individual business coach a lot earlier if I could have, just because that works well for me. Accountability is important to me, because I know like if I tell someone I'm doing something, I'm going to do it, so before with group programs and like self-paced courses, no one's really holding me accountable. So I would have invested more on an individual coach for myself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What else would I have done differently? I feel like that's a really big one. I think what I think is important for a lot of practitioners to do is to create healthy boundaries early on with your client, because you can be strict in the beginning and then be like lenient as time goes on. But if you're super lenient in the beginning and you let clients, take too much of your time and energy, then you can't show up. And I would tell people to charge what you're worth. And this is something, charge what the value that you give to clients, because I've struggled myself with some stumbling blocks in my business where I kind of lost a little bit of the passion or something like that in my practice. But over time, I realized it's because I'm putting too much of an investment in my clients, but I'm not getting that much in return. So to fully invest in your business, you have to get a more return on your investment as well. So charge what not just these little package items and all those things, charge what you are, the outcome that you're giving to your clients, and do it sooner rather than later. Because a lot of dietitians suffer with like imposter syndrome. And so we feel like, like, oh, I'll just charge them like $100. Like, no, like, no, do more. Do more than that. We we deserve more, especially because we're changing people's lives. So
Yes.
charge more and more, faster. Do that faster.
Nice. Well, Dalia, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom that you've accumulated over what sounds like a pretty good trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've sort of hit on what's working for you in your business right now, which I think is amazing. So let's see, maybe for those of us that are watching either now or later, feel free to submit any questions. Hopefully we'll be able to pass them along to Dalia, or we can give some feedback on that. Otherwise, I'll say thank you. And I'll be taking a hiatus from these interviews until March. I have some travel planned. So we'll see you again in March.
Nice. Awesome. Well, have fun. Where are you going?
I'm going to New Zealand. My partner is Kiwi, so we tend to go annually for a few weeks.
That's awesome. Yay, I hope you have an amazing time.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
It's always tough that week leading up to leaving, where you're trying to scramble and tie up loose ends. So I'm a little bit stressed right now, even though it's probably nothing to stress about. So
enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better than the destination.
Totally. All right. Thank you, Dalia. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.